All right, here we are. Shoe Geeks is back again, and we're doing our recap episode for 2024. So you've got your whack of recap podcasts in the late December, and we're going to hit you with another one just when you thought you were all done. The reason we're a bit late is because Tom spends most of his day in swimming pools and coastal little holidays. So we can't nail him down.
When you work hard, you got to play hard, mate.
Late tonight because you're getting all the sand out of your orifices. Big day on the beach, and Nitta, you're here too, and you're complaining about work and parenting too.
Yeah, well, it's holiday period, so my wife worked all the non-public holidays, and we'd have no kindy, so it's the most parenting I've done for a block of time. Yeah, except for our Christmas time when you get the cousins and they look after. It's the least parenting you do. So it's an odd time of year, isn't it?
I reckon you'd be a real pushover too.
I'm a bit.
I reckon your daughter run all over you.
Yeah. Nah, she's a bit tougher than I am. She's a bit more like mum, but absence does make the heart grow stronger. I've missed you guys a little bit. I had a patient the other day said his exact words were, he goes, I like the podcast you guys used to do. So, I was like, oh yeah.
Whose fault was it this time? Whose fault was it? My fault?
That was me. No, it was me. That was me because I didn't want to do the evenings. Remember?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Anyway, that's right.
We're committed to the evenings now because we do all work. Yep. Well, two of us do. How are you? How's your body? What are you running? What are you training for? Some grass races now?
Me or Tom?
You.
Yeah. I'm running. I've been running between 80 to 110 k's a week most of the year now, like at least 9 months. So, but yeah, you're right. I haven't run like heaps of races. I run a 3K next week, state titles, an actual track race. But I ran the pros over Christmas, and then I think later on this year I'll pick a marathon and I'll go run a marathon later in the year. So I'll go back now. So yeah. So I've had enough consistency now. I haven't been sick too often. Our body's holding up okay-ish, and yeah. But I tell you what, just getting I'm struggling to run anymore. Like if I get 100 k's living in Bel Air where I am, I'm climbing about 2,500 meters a week. If it's just that's the limiting factor. I got to get down and run a bit more flat runs to be able to handle more running. So.
Would you get a treadmill?
Christine doesn't really want a treadmill, but
No, Nitta. He asked if you will get a treadmill.
Yeah, I know. Look, maybe I'll go. Yeah, maybe. Have you seen that new Wahoo treadmill? You would have seen it, Julian. You would have loved it.
I haven't seen it, but these the treadmills that come up and they do a lot of marketing, like the Nordic tracks and the What's the other one? What's that other one? It's like they're got nice screens on them, but the Peloton.
Peloton, Nordic track. Well, Nordic track comes up all the time. Life Fitness and things like that as well.
No, Life Fitness is good. So
they're commercial.
I'm all about the platform you're on, and the motor. I don't give a shit about the screen. You can put an iPad up. You don't need a good screen.
Exactly. A big refurbished Life Fitness is ideal. We got one of them at work, and that's just a monster. It's fantastic. The new Wahoos are the same, but you pay through the nose for them. But you pay through the nose for about maybe $9,000, maybe $10,000.
See, that's not bad brand new. I mean, the Life Fitness stuff is 15 to 20 brand new.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I'll have to have a look at him because I'm a massive, I'm a treadmill diehard. What we have a Life Fitness, you're probably running on the motor's probably 20 years old.
Absolutely.
There's been no change really to the motor or the platforms or the decks of them in the last 20 years. It's just the screens change. It's just old tech, and you can get some good deals out there.
They work well. Ours at work goes to 22.5 to 23 k's per hour, and it doesn't rock when you get that. Get up to 21 k, it doesn't rock, move sideways, and they're pretty amazing, really.
Yeah. Tommy, you still been floating about. I see you paced the race the other day, and then you just bailed out of it. You copped some flack actually on the main show, I think.
Yeah. I don't know why I copped it. I mean, I did a pacing gig and then I still copped it. Like, help the guy out and I still cop it. I'm not helping enough, apparently.
Could
no,
have you
okay.
taken?
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, so helping out Kieran, a young guy in our group. He didn't quite run what he wanted to run, but I probably didn't help. I was a little bit off pace, but I don't think he didn't pick it up anyway towards the end. So I think we both had a bit of a subpar run. I've been going all right. I've had my own niggle. I've been dealing like last 3 months with a bit of a proximal hammy issue. Hence why I'm standing tonight, not sitting. It's been a lot more standing lately.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? It's like the worst thing for it, sitting. It flares it up.
Oh, kills it.
You standing desk at work? Standing desk at work, or?
No. I've been looking at different chairs or modifying my own chair and stuff like this to help out. But no, just standing. I was actually when it flares up, and when I'm just doing some notes and no one's in the room, I get my my balance mats out and I just kneel at the desk. Yeah.
Not a bad idea.
But yeah, it's all right. Can't complain. Just going to be interesting. I don't know whether I'm going to be able to get a proper marathon block in for the next marathon, but
are you finding it's flaring with long stuff or just quality of running?
Mostly quality. Yeah, mostly quality. Yeah. So chatting to Gary, we might try just do obviously less of the VO2 max stuff and see if I can tolerate higher volume, lower intensity.
Oh, you mean like normal marathon training?
Yeah, a little bit. Just sad. It's not as fun. But yeah, we'll try some stuff.
All right. Well, I mean, we're here to talk about footwear, and it has been a while, and there's been some recent footwear launches. Not sure if that's affected your rotation or not, Tom. Can you just run us through what you wore last week or anything new you put on your foot?
I've kind of regressed back to boring old trusties. So like historically, I know I've said on the pod before. So basically, I do feel like the higher stack, possibly plated shoes lengthen my stride, which I think it does for many runners. So I've been going to like just all my easy runs just in really boring, kind of lower stack, non-plated, kind of flexible, kind of slightly more minimal shoes, a little bit less cushion, which to be honest doesn't bother me. I kind of like that feel of the real light, nimble shoe for easy Ks if it's not long Ks. So I've been rocking mostly the Adidas Supernova Rise, and I think you got that Nitta, and the F6 Pulse. I actually really like that shoe. I really like the Pulse. It's sick. I don't know what's wrong with me.
So weird.
It's odd. So yeah, Kieran, the guy that I paced in that 5K, he's because I've seen him over the years and kind of like getting to know his feet. I said, I'll go try it. He likes it.
Well,
I don't know anyone else that uses that shoe, but
I saw Kieran at National Cross.
We like it.
Yeah, I saw him at National Cross. He had a good run that day, and he was wearing, I think he was warming up in the SL2 that day as well.
Yeah, so, SL2. He likes the SL2. Yeah.
Traditional shoes for that man.
That shoe, I've been running in that shoe a bit too, as well, actually. Yeah, it's nice.
All right. So what about the Peg Turbo?
So yeah, Peg Plus.
They call it the Peg Plus. Peg Plus now. Sorry, change the name. Yep.
I've been calling it the Turbo still.
Yeah. You running it, Tom? Because it seems to suit what you want.
Yeah. I don't mind it. It's it feels like it's got a little bit less gut, like a little bit less, like it is more flexible and it's softer than those other two I just mentioned. So it's probably fine for the shorter runs when I was doing strides. I'm doing less strides now. Like that would be the shoe I'd select like on an easy run and then want to do some short hill strides. And I pop those on because like it does feel a little bit like light and closer to barefoot. And I just like strides. I do like sometimes I'll just take my shoes off and do grass strides without them. But I don't know. I think it's close. They're very close to nailing that shoe. It just feels. I do think it just is almost too soft that I feel the ground too much.
Yeah,
that's how soft it is.
But you did you whack a TPU liner in it at all?
I did. Yeah, it makes it feel better. Like I don't know if I would have worn it if I hadn't have done that. If I put that liner in of the ATPU stuff, and it just makes it a bit more bit more
Yeah.
springy, a bit more guts to it.
Mm.
So we'll see what happens with the next version. I think they might be hopefully tweaking it slightly for the next iteration.
So with the workouts you've been doing, have you been avoiding plated shoes?
No. So still, just wearing like the light plated shoes. So the Asics Metaspeed Edge. I just love that shoe, and the Nike Vaporfly 3. Yeah, the two, just because they're kind of like the light and nimble ones.
Yeah, you can
I
kind
like
of tear them. You can tear them, can't you? You can.
Yeah,
you can,
like you got the, like, for example, like the New Balance Super Comp Elite. That to me, that just feels, like it. I don't get the leg turnover with it. I have to work a bit harder to get the leg turnover. It's a good solid shoe, but for this issue that's going on and just for, I don't know, fun factor, it's not. Yeah.
Have you guys tried the Puma Deviate Nitro Elite?
I tried the V1,
the
third,
V2. The third, the third one.
Haven't tried the third one yet.
I'd love to try the third one. It looks
great.
Good.
Yeah. It's a really good shoe, and I think Tom, you would love it based on what you're describing. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it seems a popular one for like variations of workouts, blended ones, short stuff and long stuff. So a lot of the guys have been using on the uni loop, so the gravel plus the dirt, because the grip's so good on Puma. But I mean, Tom, even V2, for example, probably not a super shoe as such as well, but you can still get away with it for workouts. It was more a traditional flat with just the supercritical foam in it, so a bit firmer underfoot. But geez, V3 looks better, just stacked up version of it, isn't it? And the
it's just better foam. I think. Better foam. It's better foam, and it's in it's not making any crazy geometry moves. They're not like doing a Mizuno job on it, and they're not doing the fast R treatment. Like you can run in it normally. You don't have to have like a super specific strike for it. So
it's almost been one of the most popular super shoes for training. Like I've seen people just love it for everything. So
I haven't needed it, but it's going to be the next super. The Endorphin Elite comes out. The Endorphin Elite 2 comes out in Feb.
It looks soft. It looks real soft.
Ooh, I know, but it looks good. There's some big trainer drops. I mean, some big race shoe drops this year. But that one and the Hoka Cielo X2, I think that's what it's called.
I love the Endorphin Elite 1. I thought that was a more solid foam, a late rocker that suited me pretty well, but mainly for shorter work rather than longer work. So that was an underrated shoe, probably the most underrated super shoe on the market. And I'm not sure whether I said it on here or not last time, but the sign of a good shoe is not a shoe that sells a lot online. It's a shoe that sells in store when you can compare it against 6 other competitor shoes. That's how you know a shoe is good. And that's the shoe that came out on top more often than not. And then there are some shoes like the Vaporfly 3 that very rarely came out on top with those little competitions as well. Well, not competitions, but fitting environments. Well, Nitta, what have you been doing? Because I heard this sneaky little rumor that you're not happy with the World Athletics spike rules getting around Australia. Look,
Tom, have you heard this rumor? Have you heard this?
No.
Oh, mate, Nitta's got to tell you a story here, and you can judge it for yourself.
Look, no stories. Like I just, I think people got to make their mind up in terms of whether they're going to have 20 mil spikes or 25 mil spikes. They're still seeing a lot of 25 mil spikes being used in races, and whether events are allowing people to use it or not, whether officials can mediate that. I'm not 100% sure. So.
What's your beef though? What's your beef?
Well, I don't have a real beef. You just got to pick one. Like if you're going to have this rule and make it legislation, you're going to have it under 20 mils. Then you see national grade races where people are wearing spikes that are, between the 20 and 25, but people are still allowed to run it. Like pick a rule.
Which race?
Well, I couldn't see the actual race. It was over in.
Name some names.
Yeah, I don't know the names. It was just pictures of legs, mate. It's just these days Instagram photos are just pictures of legs and shoes on legs. So I couldn't even tell you what race that was. It would have been probably a 3K, maybe an 800. that's all they ran that night. So, but
what spike was it?
It was beyond 10,000.
Yeah, which has been legal until the Olympics
September.
finished.
Yeah, exactly
right.
So
I had a coach message me this week about there's obviously like confusion and you know people still trying to figure out the rules, and so they were asking now that like apparently their group, a lot of the runners were using that on spike, like the distance one for even like for short stuff, 400 hurdles.
Exactly. Yeah.
And he's asking me what's next, what can they use now? I gave him a few thoughts, but what do you? Because I was gonna message you. I didn't never end up messaging you, but what do you reckon is
Well, look,
I mean, people can't use that.
Well, I mean, you know, there's even the female world record was set in the Avanti TYO. I think the Avanti still sits within the 20 mils from Adidas, so I think that will be okay to use, even though the midsole looks clearly higher than the 10,000.
Yeah, it looks higher.
I mean, I've seen the prototypes released from On recently as well, and the midsole looks almost identical to the On 10,000. They've just had it measured at a different time, and somehow they've got it under the 20 mils. Like, it's hard to know. Like, you know, even the new. Have you looked at the rear foot on the new Air Victory 2? Like, it looks well and truly higher stacked than what the On 10,000 does. The measuring point becomes, you know, part of the caveat to get over that. You know, it's slightly curved at the back. You know, it's sort of like looking at the Rebellion Pro 3, for example, and you measure it at the midpoint at 61 millimeters, but you measure it at the rear end, it's, you know, 39.5 or whatever. It's just like, it's murky water. And a lot of companies have to sort of like, you know, I guess, you know, exclude it from. I mean, like, I've got this shoe called the Cloud Ampulus. That's like, I think it looks at least 25 mils, and it feels the closest it spikes to a flat. And I reckon it got a window of about 9 months of use on the track, I reckon, at a national stage. And then, you know, you compare the cross-country spike from On to the On 10,000, it's probably a millimeter or two lower, perhaps, at different points in the shoe. Yeah, I don't know. Look, I'm not sure why they had to drop from 25 to 20 at that point. It makes no sense to me. Look, and then it makes it difficult to be able to audit the process as well, going through it. So I don't know how. I mean, what do? Do you sell them as training shoes now, Julie? You sell them to pro runners, of course, because in the pros you can still wear any spike you really want to. So,
well, no, honestly, if a customer comes in and says, "Oh yeah, I need a spike this 10,000," and we bring it out, we're like, what sort of level are we talking about here? And they say, well, how many are you training to break an age record or a national record? Are you training to make the Olympics or the qualifying time for Zatopek or nationals? We might have one customer a month who's in this ballpark here, maybe one customer a year. And so no one really cares. They're not pulling up D-grade races for this stuff. And so they buy the spike. It's discounted because it's whatever, but it's still a brilliant spike.
Yeah. Oh, look, the spike's options. You know, if you can't wear it on 10,000, you wear the Dragonfly. Like every single race, you saw it at Zatopek. Most people are wearing the Dragonfly. I'm assuming the on-sponsored athletes either wore the cross-country one or a prototype that looked almost identical to the 10,000. They probably will say it's 2 millimeters lower to fit within the realms, but look, you blind yourself to the shoe and you measure it. I guarantee 3 different measuring tools, you'll get 3 different little answers of, like, you know, 18 to 22 millimeters. It's a bit of a lottery. So I just think the rule's murky, didn't need to be changed, but yeah, it's what it is. But yeah,
got him going here.
Yeah. But
you written this email to Seb Coe yet or not?
I mean, he wouldn't have any interest as long as Nike are still, you know, sitting under 20 mils for all their spikes at 25. So
here we go.
Yeah. No, look, I love the Nike spikes though. So
what have you been wearing to train in, running, jogging?
Look, on my Mondays, my Thursdays, and Saturdays are all like, you know, 30 to 60-minute runs. I've been rotating between 3 shoes. I've been wearing either the Adistar 3, the Nova Blast 5, and actually 4. And I've been rotating between the new Mizuno Wave Neo Zen for those runs up to an hour. And I've also been using a shoe which surprised me. I didn't think I'd enjoy it initially. Is the New Balance Balos. I've been wearing it because it's been like, it's just a nimble shoe. I feel the ground a bit more in it, believe it or not, because I bottom out the forefoot a little bit. But on the gravel, it feels actually quite nice. So, I've been wearing those 4 shoes on those days. Every Wednesday after after our workout on Tuesday, I've been wearing the Mizuno Neo Vista. It's like the best offloading shoe of the calf that I have. So that's a shoe that I would have loved 15 years ago to run after a track session the day after, because it just like you can be sore your whole lower limbs, posterior chain, and that shoe just with the rocker foam plate combination just works a treat. So that still is, to me, I've almost preferred that shoe over the Super Blast. But on Sunday, when we get going a bit more over the hills, I still wear the Super Blast because I still just prefer it being a bit more stable. And it's probably a bit more lightweight and it feels a bit more nimble under the foot, even though it's a beast of a shoe. And for workouts, believe it or not, like I reckon out of the biggest rotation, I've been wearing the Mizuno, either the Rebellion Pro 2 or the Rebellion Pro Beta for most of my workouts. And like at least 60% of my workouts have been in those shoes for my longer sessions. So
is the Beta the third one?
Yeah, the Beta's the third one. So this,
What the fuck? You been?
So it took me a while to get the sweet spot, but if I hit, right here under this sort of 4-foot zone, it is just magic. If I hit back here, it's a lot of room for error because it's obviously really compliant foam. But I don't know, mate. Like whether I've changed my gait to match the shoe, this has been one of the most enjoyable shoes I've had for like blended workouts. But look, it's a bit softer than the number 2, but I reckon it's probably been a bit more economical. So I've really enjoyed it. So
what's your cadence?
Look, when I'm wearing this, it's probably about between 178 and 182, probably in a workout. Yeah. So
I was expecting more than that.
Yeah, no. So when I wear an alpha or something like that, I'll probably actually be a bit less again, more like 176 to 170, like a few strokes less. So, which I still race. Like we had a gravel race here, like a 2K race. I still ran the alpha that day. I still feel more comfortable going around bends in the alpha than any other shoe. These does struggle a bit on bends, but granted, I wore it on the track last night, and I thought it actually handled really well. Only because, like, if you only hit the 4-foot, the surface area of the 4-foot of the Beta is really broad. So it is quite stable up front. It's just not stable at the back. So you can't walk in the shoe. So it is.
I think I said last. Didn't I say last time we did this that shoe would work really well for like 2% of the runners?
Yeah,
you're in that 2%.
Yeah, so I've enjoyed it, and like the grip on the base has been really good. So yeah, but look, I probably need to. I mean, you guys probably haven't done as much in this as well, and I do want to chat about. We haven't done the Mizuno Wave Neo Zen when it came through. It was the mystery shoe when we had it, and they've used their Mizuno. Is it Energy Next? Is their midsole, which is a nitrogen infused TPU foam, and it is. I think you guys would agree. It's one of the most alien feeling foams under your foot when you put it on. And I thought I'd bottom this shoe out, within 40, 50 minutes. I still can't do it. It's gone as long as 90 minutes and I still enjoy it. They've done the fill in, as you said, Julian, like compared to the Neo Vista, they've filled in the actual midsole. So it makes it quite stable. The grip is quite good. The only complaint that everyone has probably had more than anything else has been just the upper is really roomy and broad, and it's it's going to be even roomier because the fact that it's a knitted up. It's hard, like, and you know how I lace my shoes, like I can't get it any narrower. Yeah. So like I'm flopping around a little bit in this shoe at the size 10.5, which I normally am. I probably could have gone down half the size, but that doesn't bother me as much. Like I don't mind flopping around in the shoe, except every now and then I get a little bit of lateral foot pain, where the perineals are, and I know that I'm probably just falling off the outside of the shoe just a little bit in some instances. So I'm preferring it for 30 to 70 minutes, but
you're just easy running in this.
Yeah, I haven't been. But obviously, when you're easy running it, it does feel a bit better to go 10 seconds per K quicker in it compared to any other shoe that I've been using. It came out. I think we both received at the same time, sort of as the Nova Blast 5, and I went for this a lot more often than the Nova Blast 5, just because I just preferred the feel of the foam under the foot. Very protective. The rocker's not really exaggerated at all, but it functions really well on toe off. Like it's stiff enough, and yeah, look, it's a great shoe, and I think it comes in at $260, Julian, for sales price. Like
great price, yeah, awesome price.
Yeah. I put a heel pitch in it, of course. That probably makes it a bit less stable in the upper, but just probably 3 or 4 people now have mentioned. I think whether Croak set them all off the anxiety, but a few people mentioned they had Achilles issues with it as well. So.
Well, there's two of them right here.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So you as well.
Me too. I haven't felt an Achilles niggle in years until I started jogging in this thing.
Okay.
I think the foam is one of the best feeling foams I've ever put my foot on top of. And I love the fact that it's not plated. Like it's forgiving. The upper, I don't know why they love this knit so much. I just wish they would put a regular mesh upper on this shoe, because then that you're talking about sort of one of the greatest of all time. If you can do that, if you can lock in the fit here, maybe they need to make a knit as well as a mesh. But foam, it's just a great sign for Mizuno that they're making a foam like this.
It's extraordinary. And look, it's not, I don't think it's quite the same foam as what sits in the Rebellion Pro Beta or the Rebellion Pro 3, or it may be, because you know how there's a dual layer between the plates, and the one that's superficial, I don't know if that's nitrogen infused TPU as well, but it feels somewhat similar. Maybe it's a bit more, maybe a bit softer again.
Yeah. What's your further experiences, Tom, with it?
I haven't been able to use it much, just for the stability factor. It's so soft that jogging in it just feels a little bit wonky for me. So what I want to do in that shoe is take it faster. But then I've got other shoes with plates and that just potentially function better than this as a fast day shoe. So it's like an awkward spot for me. I reckon I think Brady mentioned on the main show, like this shoe does feel like it's almost like could be a race shoe. If it had carbon plate and had slightly more rocker geometry in the forefoot, it would, I reckon, be a bloody awesome race shoe.
I think without the rocker in the forefoot and the really soft foam, like people are struggling to transition from heel to toe. I think that's why they're getting more Achilles load. They're sitting back on the shoe with compressors and
sinks into the midsole so much and more than my toes do. So it almost feels like, like my toes are being dorsiflex pushed up every stride.
Yeah.
It's almost like they can't. Yeah, it's bizarre. It's
a cluffy wedge, you know.
Yeah. Exactly.
I've felt that in a shoe today, actually. Exactly, because you've described that to me before, Tom. Feeling that in this shoe, and I was in a shoe today, and I thought, I've felt this before, but I actually hadn't. You've just told me about how it feels, and I think, I'm like, because my Achilles niggled today.
I think that happens though. Like I think as people enter into the ground a little bit, like they do have slightly dorsiflex toes as they enter. You see that when you assess people and gait. It's so soft though that as you enter, like, you know, you don't need to plantarflex the toes and reacting to hitting the strike of the midsole. You know, like if you hit a slightly firmer foam, for example, and you put pressure under the metatarsal heads, it does create a bit of a plantarflexion force to put your toes down. But because this shoe's so soft in that area, I don't think you do it as much. So I think there's probably a bit of a risk of just a bit more tensile strain on the tendon because of that. So like the other shoe that I've been wearing a bit more recently, but I probably haven't got along with it as well, but you wore this a bit as well, Tom. I'm not sure how much you wore it, Julian, but it's the Zoom Fly 6 from Nike. And look, I actually really enjoy it, but because I hit so much of the forefoot, I am sort of just getting that hot foot scenario on this shoe when I'm going past 40 minutes, maybe even past 30 minutes. And I've actually done a set of Ks in it as well. And I didn't mind this for a set of Ks at threshold pace. It worked okay. But yeah, just the combination of the foam being a little bit more resilient or just a bit stiffer. Like I can't sink into the shoe as much as I want to. And so I have a problem with that. So yeah, and whether the plates may be a little bit stiffer, this whole combination. It's not actually that stiff. It's actually a bit more, it just flexes more in the middle of the shoe, not the forefoot.
Not the front. That's right.
Exactly.
So do you know, I'm not sure this is a category for us tonight, but what I want to see from shoe companies, and there are shoe companies that listen to this and some that can have an influence, is I want to see less plates in shoes, in performance shoes, and I want to see a return to lower stack. I really think the industry thinks that runners want more when we don't always want more in terms of stack height. We are seeing a massive resistance to plated shoes as well as higher stack everyday shoes in store on a daily basis now. And the brands just continue to provide more and more and more, higher, softer, and stiffer in the even in the performance lightweight trainer versatile shoe range. And it's a reason that the Super Blast has done so well is because it's not plated, and people just find it so much more forgiving and stable. Surely brands have to look at what's worked in that regard and go, okay, well, no plate, done really well. This shoe could be it if it wasn't, if the upper was better. We don't always want more shoe under our foot. That's the message I want to get across. Higher is not better.
Yeah, and the Zoom Fly 6, for example, because it is stiff and because the foam is quite high and it's a little bit firmer, you probably could actually cut that shoe down completely and remove the plate, and it'd be actually a pretty decent daily trainer, and it'd be a pretty good shoe. So,
Neo Vista glass fiber, glass infused plate, more flexible, endorphin speed, flexible plate, comfortable. Never had a hot foot in a shoe like that. That's got a little bit more give to it. You don't have to make a carbon plate. Like, make some plates that have a little bit more flex to them, just a bit more accommodating.
Yeah,
I think it's fair.
Not all plates are made equal.
Yeah. You've covered a few that I've been wearing, actually. You've covered a few.
Yeah.
But I thought there's been a couple of releases lately that I'll talk you through. And this is one. You're a big Ultra man, Nitta. You've always been a big Ultra boy.
We remember when what was the Vanish Tempo was my shoe of the year one year.
You were and then they stopped giving you shoes and you went off them. You really like that. So this is the new Lone Peak, and this is one of the most comfortable shoes you could ever put your foot inside, purely from a space perspective and a shape and fit. Now, it looks super wide and it looks like it puckers and bunch and creases there, but it doesn't. It's so soft you don't feel it. It allows the foot to splay, but it's actually quite snug and fitted back through the back of the shoe here. Like, it has these pretty like you do cinch it a bit back here, but it's just astounding how much more comfortable it is to put a shoe like this on than to put a shoe just even like this that's so much pointier and narrower, and your foot, after spending a few days in a shoe like this Ultra, you really get more sensitive to foot pressure or like constriction inside. So I'm waiting for a few models of these guys before they turn into a daily trainer for me. I'm going to wait for the Torrent 8 to come out. It looks sensational. But the Lone Peak here got Vibram on the outside. You probably listened to the interview with Brian Beckstead, the founder. Sensational interviewer that just really dug deep, didn't he? That guy. No, he was good too. It was good to hear from the founder of a brand. I thought it was super interesting.
Absolutely.
He actually had a really cool story that he brought out at the live show rather than the interview, about how the Hoka Speed Goat was his idea, and he offered the deal to Carl Meltzer, and Meltzer took the contract, took it to Hoka, and they signed it with a 2% commission. It was for the shoes. That was the original Olympus. It was going to be called the Speed Goat, and it was going to be made for Carl Meltzer. Anyway, it's a better foam too. It's not hard. It's softer. It's bouncier. I walk the dog in this every day. I've got a trail shoe at the moment that I love and adore, so I can't wear anything else. It's the Tecton X3 from Hoka. So, and I probably do need a little bit more shoe than this, but I'm going to start running in it when I start getting back, feeling better. So,
are they still creating? So there's the there's the Lone Peak, there's the Timp, there is the Olympus. Is there still the Mont Blanc? They had the Boa and the Mont Blanc for a while as well. That was sort of in between.
Yeah, it still exists. Exists. It's just got a horrendous heel cup on it, almost unusable. It hasn't changed yet. Haven't updated. This shoe launched today. So this is the Hoka Bondi 9. The changes are that it's gone from a normal traditional EVA to a super critical EVA. So that's like super critical. Is just higher. It's like a heat and gas treatment to the foaming process. I don't know. You want to get into the technical side of it. Basically, produces a foam with better properties. So more resilience, more durability, that kind of thing. It's not as wide as it used to be, the platform. So the Bondi 8 was super flared. I reckon if I had a Bondi 8 here, you would see that it would come like way out. So it's less footprint on the ground, and that's noticeable. It doesn't feel as stable. The rear foot rocker feels a bit more exaggerated too, and maybe it's just because the foam's softer back there. Even just the way that they've like separated and made a couple of little columns, I feel like it's a lot softer, but it's bouncier, it's more dynamic. It's sort of it appears like it's been targeted towards runners, and they want to move away from the shoe being used in every other aspect of life except running. Because I'm not sure I could see myself wearing this too often at work just because of the softness factor. Whereas the Bondi 8 is probably one of the biggest work shoes out there.
It's interesting, like
more of a running shoe, less of a walking shoe.
Yeah, but it's 2 mil stack higher again. The Bondi's got bigger, basically.
We might as well go through one of the first categories we talk about. It was like what shoe in 2024 was the best therapeutic shoe that you used to like give to patients or runners with like pathology, injury, or managing it. And mine's pretty clear, but I want to hear from you guys as to what shoes, were like an intervention shoe to manage pain, symptom, and keep people running. I mean, Bondi 8 was always an institution in that area. Even the Bondis before that preceding it as well. And obviously the Night version, like you said, looks more like a pure running shoe now, or closer to it at least. So it still looks therapeutic to some extent, but yeah.
It's going to be touch and go there.
Yeah. Tom, you probably have a similar opinion of this as well.
I know your answer. I know probably both your answers.
Yeah, what is it?
It's Ghost Max 2.
You're such a friendly shoe. Yep. With the death of the Dyad, but like it just blended the worlds of the Ghost Max 1 with the Dyad and found this slightly higher density, relatively wide surface area shoe, rocker that's not super exaggerated but enough stiffness properties, 6 mil heel pitch in the shoe, deep to accommodate any mechanical changes or things you'll place into the shoe, and just
3 widths. 3 widths.
Yeah. And that's a big thing as well. So different widths, but just like, you can never, when it comes to a therapeutic shoe, my guide was always like, not what shoe people find the best, but the shoe people complain about the least. There's just no complaints about the shoe. And that makes a really good therapeutic shoe. So, I mean, Croaks is in his therapeutic age as well. He's heavily more running because of this as well. But I'm seeing people like, taking that as a daily trainer and protecting midfoot pain, forefoot pain, a bit of calf pain, and still find the shoe semi-enjoyable for easy running.
Yeah, brilliant shoe. I wear it at work. I love it. I love using it with customers. It can feel sometimes like it is pretty straight, the last shape. So anyone has that higher instep or a little bit narrower through that midfoot area, they do feel like it can get a bit baggy. But yeah, it's a killer. I actually wrote down the Saucony Hurricane 24 because it's got a chassis in it of high dense foam, but it also has some PIBA through the middle of the shoe. And that's more for runners, I think, that want a bit of love, that a higher mass, sort of greater deviation from normal, especially medially. But it does have a lateral wall to it as well that's solid.
Yeah.
Two widths, very good shoe.
Yeah, it's right. It's second place for sure. It's like when you send off a list for a couple options, maybe the person who's got a few more issues or maybe a little bit lighter weight probably prefers the Ghost Max, perhaps. They'd like heavier, probably the Ghost Max, and the person who probably wants a shoe that still feels like a running shoe to some extent may look at the Hurricane because it feels better underfoot when they're running.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's that category covered. Did that well. why don't we just go to the top then and go what shoe that we wore most reliably, dailies and session shoe. And this covers the whole year. So I was training for a marathon at this time last year, right up in January. It's a long time ago, but actually my answer didn't change from January to December.
You go first.
If I'm reaching for a daily, it's the Super Blast. It was the 1, now it's the 2. And if I'm going for a shoe to race in or do workouts in, then it's the Alpha Fly 3. Because I got my pair in December, and that's covered me for 2024. So it's boring answers, but it's honest answers.
Yeah, I'm probably pretty similar. Well, I'm the same with, Super Blast. It's been my long run shoe of choice. I prefer it for the longer stuff because I don't want to get hooked on that amount of cushion for too many easy runs. But it's just phenomenal. So as a comparison, which I was going to bring up at some point, I got about, I don't know, whenever it dropped a month ago or so, the Adidas Evo SL, which is kind of like probably Adidas' version or competitor to the Super Blast. I'll get it out here. Yeah. So this is it here.
Yeah, I've never tried this.
You've not tried it on?
No, I want to.
So I can't give this like the category top spot because I haven't probably used it enough, but I've got like an idea on where it sits. But yeah, basically this shoe, it's the Light Strike Pro foam. It's compression molded, unlike the race one, which is that sort of milled midsole.
Uncompressed.
So light. Yeah. But the geometry is the same. So like they've basically based off this training model, same geometry as the race model, but it's a broader platform. So it's almost like they've made it bigger. Same geometry, but bigger. So it's like a slightly bigger footprint. And obviously it's a higher durometer. Still soft. Like, so basically this foam is apparently the same foam that's in the Adios Pro 3. But because it has no rods running through the heel and forefoot, it feels softer. Like to me, it's definitely like feels softer through here than the race shoe.
What's in it then to stiffen it?
Yeah, so it's got no stiffener. So it has it does. You probably can't see it in the camera. Basically, it's got like a little shank. So it's
it's like a little
some sort of shank in the midfoot.
A rectangle shank, isn't it? Yeah.
If you try and bend the midfoot, like it's hard to bend. Forefoot bends.
Lovely.
So the forefoot on this shoe will bend a little bit easier than a Super Blast.
This is the shoe you were talking about, Julian. Like
I know. I'm listening, going. This is
yeah. So So basically, I've taken that was going to use it as a long run shoe. The funny thing is, like, and I reckon every runner should have one of these. I got like a shoe preference doppelganger. So Liam Wolford, who works at Pace, he was telling me about this shoe, like when it came there in the store when he was trying it on. The way he described it to me was like it's a higher stack Rebel 2, New Balance Rebel 2 with more forefoot rocker. And I was like, oh, you tell me that, I'm gonna love this shoe. So I had very high hopes for it. And yeah, pretty much that's kind of what it feels. But the thing is, like, so basically where I'm going to use it. Sorry, I got some crazy lighting. So basically what happens with it, it's a bit lighter than a Super Blast, a little bit more nimble, not as big a platform. So you feel like it feels closer to a race shoe than a Super Blast, but still like plenty of protection, fairly stable, but not quite as stable as a Super Blast. So when I get towards the end of a long run, you just you don't have the same sort of protection as you do. Like I reckon what Super Blast has when it comes into its own is like that tail end, that last 30, 40 minutes of a long run, and your form is going to shit, and you're like, you need something to help. And the shoe does help. It just sort of maintains a little bit of that that guidance, I guess, when you're getting a little bit sloppy. And this shoe, it's a little bit more racy, so you kind of don't get that on the long run. So yeah, I reckon it's a shoe that if you like marathon sessions, I reckon it's probably going to be one of the best shoes. If you don't want to change shoes, you want to go do a long run, you want to put some long intervals in that long run, a little bit up tempo within a run. That's the shoe. It's
good.
It's phenomenal. They really have nailed it. They've really executed it well. The upper's simple. You get good lockdown. It's very breathable. Fits true to size.
Yep.
Like you'd be really trying to find things to fault it with. It's difficult to find faults in that shoe.
Mm-hmm. What's it retail at?
It's $240, so it's insanely good value.
What's going on?
Yeah.
And durability wise, like obviously I've probably done 80K in it, but if it Light Strike Pro foam is pretty durable. I don't expect there'll be any issues with durability.
Got to get them in shop, Jolly.
It's a little bit lower stack than Super Blast.
Can't make money off 240. Not interested.
It's a problem.
Wild.
Yeah. Good one.
Yeah. So that's the shoe I'm probably going to be going to for maybe some more, if I can, if my body is going to tolerate some of these more marathon specific sessions. Yeah, might lace it up a bit more for those.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. What about you, Nitta? You got two shoes for us, trainer and racer.
It's funny how you mentioned like the whole year, right? So if I include the start of the year to the end of the year, it's not the same shoe. That I used the Neo Zen more than any other shoe for daily training the last 3 months as well. But funnily enough, because I OCDly on my training peaks put down the shoe I use to try and just track the numbers, and the shoe that I use the most for easy days. You guys aren't going to believe this. I actually couldn't believe it either because I used so many shoes in the category. It was actually the New Balance 1080, the V14. So I used that more than any other shoe for the easy days. I used it a bit more than the Balos. I used it a bit more than the 80 Star 3. I think I got a bit more.
For the whole year? For the whole year?
Yeah. So I started probably using it, I think, in probably maybe May or June off memory. So for the last 6 months, I've used that shoe, and that including, because the start of the year I used a lot more of the 80 Star and the I can't remember what I might have been using the 1080 V13 actually at the start of the year as well. That was a bit soft. I didn't get much out of that one, but the V14 was a little bit firmer. Still super soft, but I was wearing that for 30 to 60 minute runs more than anything else. So I wouldn't choose it over the Neo Zen now, but to be honest, obviously I went for it. I enjoyed it. I didn't have any problems with it. The wide surface area was stable enough for me. And look, the forefoot, like I was saying, the indentation of the 1080 I have now, like the forefoot's so compressed and the heel's hardly touched. I feel like I've got a functional heel raise of close to 2 centimeters in that shoe now because I've bottomed out the forefoot. But yeah, I got 580 Ks out of the 1080. So that was more than I thought. So yeah,
good to hear.
Yeah, so good daily training, that was it. Racing, like I didn't race as much this year. I wore the big road races. I've still got a couple. I've got 2 of the V1 of the Alpha Flyer left, and it is still the institution of racing shoes. And I actually raced in the V3 for the first time in the 2.2K Uniloop race the other night, and it definitely felt probably a bit better at snappier paces. But geez, V1 is the shoe that I would still pick. But what the pod's blown on one of my pairs, and the other one's like getting close as well. So I'm almost out of them. So the training shoe I used the most was actually probably the Rebellion Pro, the Beta, and the 2 for actual training because I didn't want to blow out my alphas, but. Yeah, for race day, I can't not go to the Alpha because the pod just suits me so much in the forefoot. And the V3 probably, Julian, probably suits more runners, but just how exaggerated V1 was, like, yeah, it's hard not to look online and try and find other websites that still have them lying around somewhere.
No one will have them. No one will have them.
It's like, you talk about shoe companies listening to this podcast, but geez, just call it something different and bring out V1 again and give it its own line and release a set every single year, and you will sell the equivalent to the Alpha Fly 1 every single year comfortably. So
yeah, all right. Well, next category. Surprise of the year, special mention. I'll go with you, Tom, to begin with.
I was thinking about this when you sent that through, Nitta, like things to chat about. I actually think my Tracksmith shoes that I got. Yeah. I knew you'd love this. thought I'd annoy you.
How can you not say the Asics Pulse?
Oh no, but you thought I was going to say that, so I had to say something else. I do love the Pulse. That was a surprise. Although I did my research before I bought it. No, the surprise with the Tracksmith is like it's a brand it's an apparel brand that's dipped into footwear, and it was like their very first model. And I honestly think they've nailed it. Like it's a very good model, and when I think about how it feels, or the perception of how it feels compared to historical shoes that I've loved, I think it does function much like the maybe a slightly higher stack version, but the original Pegasus Turbo. So, and that's kind of like how it is made. Like it's made dual layer. So the bottom layer is it's a nitrogen infused EVA, and the top layer, the insole, which is like the insole is like a really chunky insole. I think I've showed it on here before. It's like a real chunky insole, probably like 8 to 10 mils. So the insole functions like a bit like a midsole. That's PEBA. So a bit like the Zoom X in the Peg Turbo. So that's kind of what it feels like. It's a very light, flexible, nimble daily trainer. It's really good. So that's my surprise for the year. I took that shoe through its paces and until it was dead and enjoyed it.
Ka-ching.
Enjoyed it.
Ka-ching.
They're not paying me. They gave me some free stuff, but so instead of all these other shoes we're talking about. So.
Fair enough.
All right, fair enough. I never tried one.
What about you, Julian? Not Lulu, or something like that.
I never got given the running shoe from Lulu. I'm pretty happy with the leisure shoe they gave me though. But it's better than a Vans. Doesn't look as good, but it's better. My surprise was the Tecton X3, and I've banged on about this enough. You know I love it. It's brilliant foam. It's got great outer sole. Fits good for me. Doesn't need the sock collar, but it doesn't annoy me either. This has been the biggest surprise because I didn't even book this for the stores when I first saw it. And then I just got one for myself. And as soon as I put it on, I was just going on and trying to find as many pairs for the stores as I can because this is the best trail shoe I've ever worn. Yeah. That's a shock, and it's good. And they're bringing out a low version next year without the sock.
Yeah, nice. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
You.
Look, I mentioned the Balos earlier because I've enjoyed it a bit, but I don't think I could probably get away with not mentioning. I think the Adistar 3 was the shoe for me. Like I when I got it, I was like, it looks a bit. I think they'd be happy to. They would be fair to say it looked a bit like a Kmart shoe in the hand, and it was super lightweight. It was full EVA, and I thought, this will feel firm. But it was a low density EVA. It was relatively high stacked. It still felt traditional enough underfoot, but it's just for 30 to 60 minute runs as well. I found that to be a huge surprise, and I wasn't sure if it was expectation. Look, it didn't last long. I reckon it started to feel pretty dead at about 250 Ks in the forefoot, and I didn't think it was going to last a long time. But I'll explain why that surprised me, because the shoe, which when we go through as slightly disappointing, was the shoe that I thought that would be better in that category. So, but yeah, the Adistar 3 was a really good daily trainer, but I often used it for a warm-up shoe. So, and you think about it, like we were doing 2 workouts per week. I was wearing that 40 Ks per week, so 20 Ks per week every week plus 1 run. So probably maybe 30, 40 Ks a week. So I got a lot more out of that shoe than I thought, and I enjoyed it. And, you know, sometimes you do a hard workout, carbs are sore. The shoe you'd put on for your cool down often was like highly influential. Like if you wore a real traditional shoe, like you'd be a bit sore after, but I just felt really good wearing that shoe even after workout. So yeah, that surprised me. Not durable, but surprised me. And I think it retails at $200 as well. Just another Adidas shoe that's a bit cheaper than the other shoes in that same category. And I think, you know, similar, what makes it difficult online, they were selling the shoe for about $120, $40 as well, you know, for a couple months of the year. So it'd be tricky to sell that in shop, wouldn't it, Julian? If those sales go up on online and you're trying to sell it for $200, which is
doesn't help. That'd be less than you pay for it. That'd be less than you pay for it.
But yeah, no,
do you know why though? So. Like if they're doing that, there's obviously been some issue with the distribution of it, like or the sales. You can't have that. You can't sell it for that cheap without having some issue with the shoe somewhere along the chain. Yeah.
But it's also a bit of history. Like, commonly retailers haven't been selling the Adistar range or Supernova range much. I remember when I worked in Jogger Squad in 05 and 06, and sometimes the Adistar came out with, next to the Nimbus, and then the Supernova came out next to the GT series, for example, and it was a high competitor against Asics and Brooks back then in 2005 and 6, and it's been dormant for like a decade. So it's going to take a bit of a job to get them back on the market, sitting next to those competitors and selling them in retail. But I actually think they've got the range now to truly do it. But it's got to have a different view upon it. Like, they're not selling them as performance shoes, even though they probably categorically are.
Well, what's your letdown shoe?
Yeah, look, whether it was the hype or not, or whether it's because I just loved V1 and I had this feeling that this V5 was going to be the same as V1, I did find the Nova 5 to be a bit more of a letdown. Initially, when I put it on, I thought it maybe felt a little bit like a bit lighter than V4, but maybe a bit less like under the foot, less substance, even though there's meant to be a little bit more stack under it. But I just felt like it was less under the forefoot. There might have been a bit more under the heel, but I just don't hit that part of the shoe. So because I was using the shoe next to, the Balos, the 1080, the Neo Zen, and the Adistar 3, like it just fell so far back behind, and the rocker doesn't quite work for me. Like, it's a little, I'm not sure I hit the forefoot, but it just feels like the fulcrum doesn't quite work for me, or whether it's just a little bit too flexible with the pitch. It feels like it's got a higher pitch in it, even though I think it's 8 mils off memory as well. So I don't know, like, I felt better hitting the heel in this shoe, but I don't like hitting my heel when I run. So I think that's why it just didn't work for me functionally. And it definitely wasn't a huge upgrade from the 4th version. And I just still reckon V1, the Nova Blast V1, was just, whether that was because it was a game changer at the time in terms of being a high stack fun shoe, just, yeah, I'd almost wear V1 comfortably over the V5, I reckon, if I put it on. But then again, it's like watching an old Hulk. Yeah. What about you?
My disappointment was the Peg Plus, because I thought that from images, that shoe looked like it was a return to greatness, but it just didn't do that. It was a bit too slappy, I thought, on the ground, whether it was that outer sole or not. I didn't feel like it was a smooth ride. I didn't even feel like running in it at all. And that's a real disappointment if you put a shoe on and think, I can't run in this shoe. Did you run in it, Nitta?
Yeah, look, I actually did a workout in it as well. And I did a set of quarters in it. And so in a 400 on the track, it didn't feel too bad. But you're right, when you run slow, like the real audible, slapper, hollow noise, if that makes sense, a hollow feeling shoe. And I put a TPU liner in it. And the most enjoyable part of the shoe when I put the TPU liner in it, like a Saucony liner on top, the old Triumph liner, that felt the best part of the shoe by far. You could feel the TPU liner when I put it in that part of the shoe. Like, it's not what you want out of it as well. But yeah, because I didn't feel like that with the Peg Turbo, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I used to do some workouts in the Peg Turbo, or at least a couple. And again, it's a whole different body that used to do that to the one that exists right now.
And look, do you think there's just been the time between these two runs, the shoes that you've been experiencing between now and then, it's just highly influenced how this shoe's perceived now? Like, if you put the Peg Turbo on now and try to do what you used to do, probably identical maybe. So
for sure. That's right. And that's probably, it might not be the shoe that disappointed me. It's my ability to wear the shoe that disappointed me. And my ankle range of motion is horrid these days. And I still get sharp pain when I'm in an unstable shoe or something that's too flexible or lower offset. So I'm upset at myself. I'll give the shoe a pass, but I'm upset. I'm upset at myself. Tom?
On that, like to your point earlier, it's probably where the brands are maybe going too far down towards the softness. Like some models are just getting too soft now, where they lose life. Like you get more ground feel and you don't have I felt that with the Rebel too. Like, that was a shoe I was really excited to get, like the new Rebel, because I love the Rebel too. But yeah, that was also a little bit of a letdown. And I put these two shoes, I put them in the same sort of category, that sort of feel, that just super, you put it in hand, you're like, yeah, this is so light, it's so soft. And then you put it on your foot and you're like, oh, It's kind of like dead. So yeah, but my disappointment, because I was also like mega hyped about the Neo Zen, but like I don't know why I can't. I just feel like a baby giraffe in it. I just can't jog in it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. Like I have a relatively high cadence and short contact times, but it still just feels. I was hoping, like I thought that was going to be like when the guys from Mizuno came in and they were talking about the range, and they mentioned that and they told me what it was going to be like. I was like, oh, I'm going to love this. So yeah, just a little bit upset that I don't love it.
Fair enough.
You got some lightning going on in the background there, Tom.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It's a crazy storm. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
It's wild. I was wondering if you're hearing it. It's wild.
No, we can see it. I could just see it in the back corner. I can't actually hear it. I can just see it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're into the new year, boys. I've probably seen more than you have. I can't tell you about everything, but there's some exciting stuff coming. But what is it that you're excited about? Nitta, go first.
I've got two. Look, it's just to bring Mizuno back into it. The fact that I enjoyed how much I enjoyed the nitrogen infused TPU foam, to have that amongst more of their daily trainers, to maybe see that be plated and you know, I'm keen to try the Mizuno, you know, the Rebellion Pro, but the low version. You know, it's still 40 mils of stack, but maybe not have so much a dramatic. So will that work for me? I'm interested to see if it's just that part of the shoe I'm hitting in the forefoot, will that just be the shoe that works for me? But you know, you did your interview when you went over to see the Nike stuff, Julian. I'm pretty interested to put on the new Vomero. It looks like a, you know, slightly higher stacked version. I'm pretty keen to see that, but I'm also pretty keen to just try their you know, the Peg Premium, the Vomero Premium, and just a few of those blends of the foams together and see if they hit the mark as a daily trainer. We've been talking about it for a long time, but getting that Nike daily trainer underfoot and really enjoying it. It's been a long time since the Vomero, you know, 12, and yeah,
a lot of shoe though. It goes high. I think it's like 44 mil or something.
Gotcha. Yeah. But still, like that's where I'm at. Yeah, absolutely, for the new year.
Good. Tommy, what are you seeing?
Because I like light, and I love the Evo 1, like all-time favorite super shoe. I'm keen for that Asics light. What's it called? It's called the Meta Racer Light or Light Racer or something.
Yep.
So just keen to see how the racing space evolves, and whether hopefully they don't go to that tipping point as well of getting so light that they become maybe a little bit unstable or not functional towards the end of the marathon. But I think there's still promise there in getting the next level of getting sort of this much fun and bounce, but making it even lighter. Mostly that. I'm also interested and keen, as I have been like a massive Nike fan from like when I started running, and like it was always like the Nike daily trainers is what I love. So Peg Premium will be interesting. I don't know if I'm going to love that, but I'm just keen to try. Yeah, I'm just keen to try what they're bringing out with these new silos they're doing, which I think it's a cleaner, hopefully a cleaner segmentation of their range, doing this new sort of system they're doing.
Yeah,
and I'm keen to see their structured range as well. See what happens with the evolution of those models. I know there's still maybe one that's not finalized in that stability area, but definitely keen to see what happens with the evolution of those.
Yeah, that's fair, because well, there's a lot I'm excited about. I've seen some product there's a shoe from Asics I'm very excited about, and it's hard for me to get excited these days. There's excitement. I break my excitement into three areas. One is excitement for me, shoes that I think I will love, and I don't really care about selling them or other people. I'm just like, this is going to work for me. Two is excitement if a company makes a shoe that is very commercial and I can apply it in store to a lot of people, and I think it's going to be a great shoe for the business. And the third is excitement for the industry. Is a company bringing out a shoe that changes the game a little, like that, where every single person is going to want to have that shoe. and we've seen some examples. Alpha Fly and Super Blast are the latest two that have done that. And and I've seen a shoe from one of the brands, and that is one of those.
Okay.
There's two actually. There's another one from Brooks has got one too. Brooks has got one. So Brooks has one. Hoka, I don't like Hoka's one as much, but Hoka has some awesome updates in their training range. Like
they
some
do.
Really smooth feeling shoes. Pretty pumped on that.
Is there a key like innovation feature you can?
I don't think I can share that stuff. I don't think so. Yeah, it's a bit too.
We'll put a earmark in that one when we come back to it, because when we talk about it, when it does happen, we'll realize it's one of those features this company should have done for a long time, but it has been a game changer for them, I think. So
let's just move on from that. Let's just move on. You can't help yourself.
No, I
know. Nike's got a shoe coming in the end of the year. I've had it on my foot, a sample. Again, it's another one of those things that blows your mind, but I'm not sure how commercial it will be or how much I'll be using it. But it is one of those blow your mind type shoes. Yeah. And then I'm just trying to think of all the brands that I've sort of seen. The Ultra have a shoe again, going to be a real play in the first half of the year, just in the neutral. The update to the Torrent 8, just a really good fit, good foam, smooth ride. I think we'll see a lot more people there. Yeah. Anyway,
good for the heel pitch business as well, Tommy.
How much margin is there on a pack of 6 heel or a pack of?
It's not a lot, mate.
Hardly charge people for them, mate. It's just
it blends in basically. Yeah, the covers your costs, and you probably lose a bit of money to GST.
All right, well, boys, that's our first episode. It's going over an hour. We've done pretty well considering how busy me and you are, Nitta, to get an hour of our life.
Told you, work hard, play hard. We should see my week.
We'll do this
tomorrow. I think I'm working like 12 hours tomorrow, mate.
I told you. He just works hard and then takes 3 days off. Works hard, takes 3 days off. Yep.
I'm actually taking 4 days off this weekend. So before you see me on Strava out down the south coast, I'm going to need a heads up. I'll be
big days though. Got to fit all those. You got to fit everyone into 8 p.m. Then that's how it works. Tough life.
Well, we all want that life, don't we, Nitta?
Yeah, well, you reckon you're working 7 days a week. I don't believe it.
Me?
Yeah.
Ask my wife.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's running now. She's the pro runner. So we actually have to get her on, like, because she's
next episode's a women is a wives episode. Good. Next month wives episode. So I'm not sure whether it'll just be an Ultra and Adidas thing from your two wives.
Lana's still all Addy. So she's got a couple of new models there. So
some New Balance in there as well.
All right, good. All right, well, see you fellas. Enjoy your holiday again, Tom.
I will.
All right.
And I'm gonna hold my head up high. I was told as a young man, doesn't matter if you're white or black. Just show love to everyone you meet. Doesn't matter if it don't come back.